Hi, my name's Katie Carter, and I am going to talk a little bit about my infographic that I did for parenting. So the topic I chose was parenting in divorced families and how that can affect the child. I touched on like 3 different topics that I found that bursted out to me in the textbook. And so I kind of went through a little bit of each of those, and I talk about those. So my first was the grief process, and that can obviously be for any age, but the one I touched on was school-aged children, because at that point they kind of understand, and they're like at a point in life where they know that like people are unhappy and that they have to be in separate homes. So I said children, alike adults, go through grief. Ways for parents to help the child during the grief process could be to sit and let them express their feelings on what's happening. They could potentially explain some things and try to help, because the kids might have a lot of questions, and they might be like, it's all built up inside, and so that they need to let it out, and they need questions and clarifications about stuff that's happening, and also potentially explaining like what good could come out of the divorce, because sometimes being separated is better than being together if the parents aren't getting along, or if there's lots of complications within the relationship. And I know for a child, because I've seen it firsthand, that being in the middle of like parents arguing and stuff is just so hard, especially for younger children, because they don't really understand. The second thing I did was protective factors for children. I said younger children seem to have a hard time adjusting to change, especially if they have a difficult temper. When they have a difficult temper, they act out a lot. They don't want to kind of focus, and so change could spike that up a whole lot more. Ways for the family interactions, for protective family interactions, could be to reduce conflict between parents. Conflict can cause like negative behavior, acting out because there's something going on at home that they don't know how to take in. Authority, having like putting your foot down and saying, this is what's gonna happen, I want the best for you, but this is what you're gonna have to do. That could help a lot with kids that have difficult tempers. And then structure and organization, because you might be going to 2 different houses, so it might help the kid to know every 2 weekends I'm gonna go to dad's house, or however it ends up being in the court. Just having structure and organization for them to know exactly what's going on and where they'll be, so it's not like oh, we're leaving, I have to go to dad's house. Like, they know that they're gonna go. And then I also touched on long-term effects. Divorces can cause long-term effects on children as they grow up. Teens can have a sense of selfishness, aggression towards others, especially teens, because they have a mentality of, oh, love isn't real. My mom and dad aren't together, then I don't have to treat anyone with like the respect of like women. Like, say it's a boy, and like he's like, oh, I don't have to treat women right because I saw my dad not doing it, so like that's right because it's my dad. So that's an unfortunate situation, but it can cause depression, anxiety, and cognitive and social incompetence, along with negative behavior. It's just a lot for people to take in, and people take it differently, and sometimes it's gonna cause more problems. Some divorces cause more problems than divorces fix everything, and they're living a better life, and the mom and dad can kind of get along for the child's sake, and I think that's the good part. But I think it's really hard for parents. It's a lot of responsibility for parents during these times. They just have to hold children tight, be compassionate, cautious, and have lots of patience.